Most of the time we underestimate the potential of material. I mean, you always, I have come across, अच्छा इससे इतना से इसमें ये हो जाएगा, but होता है. We don't give a chance to that material to perform. Studio Alternatives is a firm which right now we can't put it in a one word, but we do a lot of experiments, and currently me and Sonali run the firm.
It's an idea which needs people who think alike, and that kind of synergy was needed because there's a lot of questioning that we do, but you need that forward thrust to keep doing what you're doing because it's a new field. It's all very experimental. There are no ready solutions in this. So when we met after a couple of years, I decided to join full time, and that is how Studio Alternatives that we see today was born. The basis of sustainability, I would say, is in circularity of things. Like we observed cycles of carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, even we have the water cycle, which is evident. And here we are creating a very linear system where, we are creating something and it just goes to landfill at the end of its life. And how is that possible? I mean, how do we bring circularity to things that we are generating?
So what we do is, first we are having a product, we reuse it. When we can't reuse it, we upcycle it. And when we can't upcycle, I mean it's finished, then you go for recycle. So we are kind of extending the life of that particular material slightly more. In the process, we learned certain things that there are two ways you can upcycle. One is one-timer, because there are a lot of objects which you are getting only in a limited quantity. That particular chair, if that is discarded, there are 6 chairs. If I want to upcycle, it will become 6 only. At the same time, there are some products that the scrap is only coming in regularly. For example, paint buckets. So paint buckets are there in the market. You will get it for n numbers, and so that if I make something out of it, it can be multiple times.
To make upcycling mainstream is a very big challenge because it's not very conventional. We always give an example that our grandparents have possibly never created waste. It was not glamorous, but there were good practices that were happening back then. So it's about going back to that. Probably we will be forced after some point in time that there would not be any virgin material available to think new products out of.
It's very few people who actually wants to do upcycling for the reasons of upcycling, that you are doing good to the environment. You are not utilizing new material and you are using something which was reclaimed.
It's looked upon as a very economical affordance and not an environmental affordance. Now we have to start going to a place where can the environment afford more waste? And that is where probably we will find realistic solutions.
I was really lucky to get good guys. I mean, we always had good people who were ready to explore. First person I hired, he's still there today, and he's the head of the workshop now. Initially, they were either painters or carpenters or fabricator. But now, if you see, everybody is doing everything. So that also we made sure that my team should be all-rounder. When I started, I was an interior designer and I started as a regular practice, like how interior design industry works. So you have a project and then you have contractors who will generally work on your all interiors. And that was not working out very well because they were not taking these things because it required small R&Ds and trial and errors, and it was time consuming. Luckily, I was able to set up one small workshop, and we could do these smaller things, and that's how it started, and that was building of my team. They all understand upcycling. Initially it was not, सब कचरा फेंकते थे.
To understand why this is not waste and why we cannot throw it like everybody else is throwing it. I mean, it has been a process, but now they really understand the values behind it, and now that has helped us grow even more.
There were things like how do you source scrap, because you can design, you can imagine, I can make a sketch. Like once the project came and we thought we can make a restaurant hoarding at the entrance with a old boat. So to source this kind of scrap was challenging earlier, but then over the period of time we made our channels that we know which bhangarwala or scrap dealer keeps what kind of materials, and at the same time we started collecting also in small quantity, documenting that this is the scrap which comes from here and we can get this much. And that is where what we call it as scrap library came into the being, where we have certain materials and the information about it, so when we need it we can use it. This is not rocket science or something we have invented. Container architecture is way back. I mean, people have been doing abroad for a long time. India, it is slightly newer. Our spaces, we try to give it like a very comfortable space. It is insulated. There are ways we are trying to take care of the heat, and we try to add all the elements which will make it more cheerful to live in or something like that.
The specialty of Studio Alternatives is that the whole space is designed and executed here. Even if there are multiple containers, we join them here, and everything is tested, and then they are taken apart, they are taken to the site, and the site work is a very minimum process.
We were not even thinking that we will get into container spaces as a main vertical. It was a one-timer project. We did it in 2014, 40-feet container into a studio apartment. And when we finished it, it got really popular.
I mean, it's a first of its kind movable, ready to install shipping container spaces, which is very unique to what we are doing. I remember when we first came here, even today we realize the villagers looked at us like outsiders, and two women who come driving their cars, and who are they, and we were kind of foreigners just 25 kilometers outside the city. It was a very different feeling to be here.
When me and Sonali, we decided about this place, it's also other part of life that we want to be here. We want to eat certain type of food. We want to be with the village around, and we want to do something for that community. So those are the things that we thought when we were moving.
Over a time, it's like we've become a part of the community in various ways. There are 2 ZP schools in the village, RV. Like we started volunteering, like every Saturday I just started to go to the school and see, how I can help in any way, because they have a very limited sense of exposure, and we feel that because we are, lucky enough to get that, can we pass on that kind of exposure to these students?
Our purpose is more to show possibilities so that maybe other 5 firms can take this up. So a lot of people ask us that is this a business that is sustainable, or can you make it a proper business? Or what I feel is it's a very new area, upcycling, and we are experimenting. Our success or failure will give future generation or whoever is trying to do in this area some kind of a guideline कि ये करना चाहिए, ये नहीं करना चाहिए. And I think that is a belief we carry at studio, that lot of things are possible if given a chance.
We love doing what we are doing. We think it's making sense. So in one lifetime, what do you want to achieve? I mean, what do we want from life? And I feel here, if we make this successful, this can be a model that can be replicated in generations to come, where somebody had to start it.
For us, wherever we spot the scrap, we want to utilize it. I mean, I don't have too many desires. As long as we can just work in this area for next whatever years I'm planning to, I'm very happy here.